Hi everyone, welcome down to today's lesson. The maths lesson is going to be getting started really soon, less than 5 minutes, 10 o'clock will get started. Give people a chance to get down to the lesson. I hope you're all well. Hope you've had a good morning. Somebody's probably out of breath if you've been doing PE with dual wicks. Hope you're all good. We're going to start in about 5 minutes or so, okay? Right, okay, it's 10 o'clock, so we're going to get started with the lesson. First thing I'm going to go over just a few different rules, little things like that, okay? Remember the chat there is to get in contact with me, to answer questions, things like that. You can have a little bit of chat on it, but don't spoil it for other people, please, so no spamming in there or trying to make loads of different things when people are trying to get on with the lesson. Okay, there are teachers in there. Good morning, Mrs. Rice. I think a couple of others there as well, but I haven't seen the names yet. They will be checking just to make sure everything is going okay. Remember, chat is where you're going to put answer questions, things like that. If you are stuck with anything or you don't understand anything and you need a little bit help, if you pop that in the comments, that's where we are going to be able to see that, okay? Because the chat goes by quite quickly and then it disappears later on, okay? So put it in to the comments for me. So on a Tuesday, we are doing maths. And the work that we do in this lesson, there is a week's worth of work on our Padlet, which there is a link to in the description, that you can do to go alongside this work, okay? The reason I explain it again, I can see there's quite a few new viewers and things that have came down, so welcome down, okay? There are a lot of people who don't go to my school in the chat and stuff as well. You're more than welcome. It's great to see you. I hope this helps you out. Last week's work can still be accessed if you want to have a go at that. So my live lesson is still on YouTube, but there is also a link on that video to the last week's Padlet, and all the work's still there if you didn't do it or you didn't know about it or you're trying to catch up, anything like that. Again, same with this lesson will stay up, so if you need to look over it again to help you out with understanding or anything like that, or you just want to go back over anything, it will stay up and you can access it, or you can share it with friends with other people who you think might benefit from looking at the lesson if they weren't here when we were on. I'm going to stay around a little bit after the lesson, as always, to give you a hand with any problems, any things that you don't understand, anything like that, and help you out with there. So I will see about 5-10 minutes after the lesson as well, so you can ask any problems, and obviously there are the other teachers as well that will help you. If obviously the video's finished, you can still get in contact with us. Either comment on the video if you're not understanding something or you need some help. You can contact me on my social pages, so Facebook, Instagram or Twitter. They are all Mr. Biggins123. If you type that in, I'll come up. And also on the Padlet as well, there is a section if you are stuck where you can put that in, and there's even an email address that you can get in contact with us on there, okay? And that's not just me, that's the other teachers as well. So thank you to all those teachers for helping out. Apart from that, if there's anything you don't understand during the lesson, okay, just leave it, continue on to the lesson, don't panic about it, and then you can watch the lesson back later, or you can ask me a question after the lesson, and it means you're still learning the rest of the things that are happening in the lesson, but you're not going to, and you'll get a recap of that stuff that you're stuck with, okay? And one thing I'm going to do before I start the lesson is, last week there was a Kahoot quiz that I put up, a challenge to do with the lesson, and I said I would announce who had won on that. So I've got the top 3 in front there, and they had really, really good scores. There was lots of people entered in that, and it was really, really good. So remember, I said, because there's a lot more people doing these Kahoots now, if you want to shout out on the video, you can put your first name and your initial, okay? So I know who it is when I'm shouting out. If it's a silly name or something like that I can't see out, I'll just go down to the next person. Okay, so the 3 people that were at the top, and there is a Kahoot for today's lesson that you can do afterwards. I'll talk about that later. Okay, so in 3rd place was Jack S. Well done, Jack. In 2nd place by a tiny amount was Hadassah. Well done, Hadassah. Brilliant work. And in 1st place was Amelie P. Okay, well done, Amelie. Really, really good work. Wouldn't expect anything else. I know how much you love maths, okay? So really well done to those guys. Well done. We'll see next week who's did really well on this week's Kahoot. Okay, so to start the lesson, what we're going to do is we're going to wake our brains up. So we're going to do a fluent in 5. Okay, now fluent in 5 doesn't mean 5 questions. It means we are going to do, if I can find my timer, we're going to do some questions, and you're going to have 5 minutes to do them. Okay, you're going to have 5 minutes to try and do all these questions. So you need to work quickly, but you also need to be efficient. You need to make sure you're getting them right as you go down. Now, this week I do have a few extra questions. Sorry, I'm just looking for my pen. Oh, put it there. I have to have a few questions on times and divided by 10, 100, 1,000, those types of questions. I've got those on because someone contacted me last week and said they struggled a little bit with those, okay, and they weren't sure of how to do them. So what I'm going to do is I'll put them on, obviously I'll talk through them afterwards. So if there are things that you are struggling with, if you let me know, I can include it in the next lesson to try and give you a hand with that. So I hope this helps the person who got in contact with me. Any questions that you don't know how to do, you haven't learned how to do that method or anything like that, or if you're not up to that in your maths class or anything yet, or you forgot, okay, it's been a long time since we've been in an actual maths class, just leave them, okay, and then I'm going to go through the answers, pay attention, and then maybe you can learn how to do it and practice them yourself. So as soon as I write the first question down, you can start, and I'm going to start the timer and I'll write the rest of them down. Okay, so question 1, 4,691 times 39. So I'll start the timer now. You can start off with that one, and I'll put the other ones up. Okay. So obviously don't put your answers in the chat, just write them down on a piece of paper. Okay, and you can check your answers afterwards. Number 2, 689 divided by 14. Now one of the questions someone asked for a little bit of help on. $24, to make that decimal point really obvious, 24.164 times 1,000. 415.4 times 100. Question 5, 8,611 divided by 10. And 25.1 divided by 1,000. So those are your 6 questions. I'll let you know how long you've got left. You've got 3 minutes 40 left there. Okay. If you get them finished, always double check. If you double checked, triple check. Okay. And go through your working out. These ones, like I said, are the ones that someone have asked about. So if you know how to do them, you can probably do those quite quickly, so you have a lot of time to double check these ones. Okay. But if you're unsure of those ones, give it a go, and when we go over the answers, you'll be able to see whether you got it right. And you have 3 minutes, just over 3 minutes left there now. See, people saying the timer there puts them under pressure. It does, but if you've got time to chat in the chat, you should be using it to have a real go on the lesson. Do your best, that's all we're looking for. Got my working out ready there to do that. We can do it afterwards. Good morning, Christy. Good to see you. If you can't remember how to divide, that's fine. Go on to the other one, see how many you can get done, and we'll go over how to do the division afterwards. It's a hard one because obviously it's a 2-digit number there. Well done, Hadassah, for finishing. Have a double check of your answers. Good morning, Amelia. One minute 30 you've got left there. Okay, if you finished, brilliant. Double check those. Okay, nothing worse than finishing with 2 minutes, sitting there doing nothing, and when you go over, you made a silly mistake with a multiplication or anything. Well done, Freya. Yeah, if you don't get the divides there, I think that's Layla. Okay, don't worry, we're going to go over them. Okay, just pay attention. Good morning, Isabel. Question 3 is times. Okay, sorry if that's not evident. Bit of a wonky multiplication. Sorry, your window cleaners allowed there, Milo. At least they're not here, so everyone can hear mine. Just under 30 seconds there now. and less than 10 seconds we'll be finishing off. And that is your time, so stop doing now, no matter where you are. Don't worry if you didn't get them all finished, okay? We're going to go over the answers, and it's all about getting better, okay? So whatever you do, whatever you get this week, okay, or whatever, because you can do these yourself, all you need is 5 sums, okay? Write them down, get someone to work on the answer calculator or something for you. It's about getting better and quicker yourself, okay? Doesn't matter about anyone else's score, doesn't matter about anyone else's time. It's improving yourself, okay? It's always good to be right and not quick. So we're going to do question 1 first, 4,691 times 39, and we're going to do it over here. Not many people might say they couldn't understand the multiplication or anything, so it sounds like we've remembered how to do our long multiplication. Remember, it is long multiplication because we have at least 2 digits in each number, okay? So we're going to work our way along. So we've got to do 9 times 1, which is 9. 9 times 9, which is 81. So put our 8 up there on the doorstep. Then we need to do 9 times 6, which is 54. And then we need to plus our 8 on. So plus our 8 on, we will have, which is 54, 62. Cross that out so I don't miss it. Be watching for my mistakes as well. Like I said, I'm not perfect. Could make some mistakes, so you keep your eyes out. My class will know that. 9 times 4 is 26. 26 plus my other 6 there is 32. Now, when I move on to the next line, I'm going to cross that out so I don't do it again. I'm going to put a 0. I'm putting a 0 there because I'm going to times by 3 now, but it's not actually 3, is it? Look, it's 30, so I'm timesing by 3 tens, okay? So 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 9, we go 9, 18, 27. And then we have 9. Where were we up to? We had 3 times 1, 3 times 9. So I was just getting a message there. 3 times 9 is 27. 3 times 6, 6, 12, 18, plus my 2 is 20. And 3 times 4, 4, 8, 12. Plus my 2, 14. Just going to check there. The last part of the first question, let's have a do. 9 times 4 is 36, plus my 6 is 42. Okay. See, I told you. Okay. Put those in to check for you, didn't I? Didn't get those wrong. Thank you, Miss Allison. And I'm sure lots of you in the chat there. Yeah, probably. Okay. Thank you, Miss Allison, for that one. See, even I have to double check my answers, okay? So you know that you do. 9 plus 0 is 9. 1 plus 3 is 4. 2 plus 7 is 9. 2 plus nothing is 2. 4 plus 4 is 8. And 1 plus 0 is 1. Thank you for that little bit of help there, Miss Allison. Probably would have caught it when I was doing my double checking. Okay, but I know that's the right answer. Okay, so that is our answer. If you got that one, give yourself a tick. Well done. Okay, now we're going to move on to division. A couple of people mentioned this one and they said they weren't sure of how to do it. Okay, now if I've got a 2-digit number, depending on what it is, okay, some questions I might not do this, some questions I will. What I'll do is I'm going to write the multiples of the 14 down here, which basically means I'm writing the 4 times table. Remember, multiples and numbers that would come out in the times table. So I know that 1 times 14 is 14. 2, and what I'm going to do this is I'm going to add 10 then 4, so it'll be 24, then add my 4, 28. Okay, 28, I'm going to add my 10, will be 38, add my 4, 42. 14, oh, so you add 14, so add 10 and add 2. I'm going to add 10 to be 50, so you add 10, then add 4. I'm going to add 10, which will be 52, then add my 4, which will take me to 56. Okay. And number 5, go there, add 10, 66, add 4, 70. Okay, now I'm going to stop now, and I'm going to show you a good tip to know when to stop, because I could go all the way down. But when I look at my first 2 digits, I know 14 isn't going to go into 6, okay? Because that's a 2-digit number and that's a 1-digit number, so I know the 2-digit is bigger. But my next number is 8, so I know that this is now how many 14s in 68, Okay, so I can see there that I went past 68, haven't I? So I could do more if I want to, but I might not need them. I might be wasting my time, especially if I'm in a test. So what I'm going to do is stop there, and then if I do need more, I can just add them on. Okay, so 1468, let's have a look there. So we'd go in 4 times, and now I need to work out how many I've got left. So I've got 56 and I'm getting to 68, okay? So I've got 56 and I'm getting to 68. So if I count on, I've got 4, haven't I, to 60, and then 8. So I have 4 plus 8, so I've got 12 left. I'm going to cross those out. So now I've got 129, okay? Now what I'm going to do is I could keep on going, couldn't I? I could keep going with my 14 times table and get up to see how many are in, how many 14s are in 129, okay? But when I'm looking at that number, I know that 10 times 140, 10 times 14 is 140. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to my 10, okay, and I'm going to work backwards to see if that's quicker. Now, if you keep going on down that way, you can, that's fine, you'll get the right answer, but it would take a little bit longer. If you can't see automatically that 140 is close to 129, that's fine as well. Some people do see it automatically, some people don't. Remember, it doesn't matter which way you do it, as long as you get the right answer, okay? Once you know how to get the right answer, it's then about getting quicker and getting more efficient, okay? And that's the little tips I'm telling you. So I'm going to go backwards. Okay, so I'm going to take away 10, which will take 130, and then I'm going to take away 4, which will be 126. Now, straight away, I've only went one back, and I can see that 129 is in between these two numbers, can't I? So I know that I've got the right one. So I know that there are 9, okay, and I've got to work out how many I've got left. So I had 129, but I only used 126 of them. So 127, 128, 129. I have 3 left over, so remainder 3. Okay, so my answer for question 2 is 49, remainder 3. Now, some of you might have turned that into a decimal. Okay, some of you might have learned that, some of you might have not. When you get up to year 6, the most that you have to do is leave it as a remainder. Okay. If you've done that, brilliant. If you've done it as a decimal, well done, you're ahead, because when you get into secondary school is when you look at how to turn that into a decimal. And it's not that hard really, but it's not something that we have to look at. So well done if you did turn it into decimal. What we're going to do is we're going to move over here and we're going to do our questions here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain the first one a little bit, because it was one that someone asked for help on. Okay. And then I'll just do the answers, because once you know the rule, it can go quite quick. So we have 24.164, and we had to times it by 1,000. Okay. Now there are 2 different ways you can look at this. Some people say never say you're moving the decimal, because you're not actually moving the decimal, which is true. However, if you remember it better by saying moving the decimal, if that's how you remember how to do the question, you get the question right, there is no harm in doing that, okay? Anyone who says you're not actually moving the decimal, say, I'm not bothered, that's the best way that I learn it, okay? We're actually moving all the numbers in their place value. So we've got 24.164, and we're timesing by 1,000, okay? So when we've got these numbers, what we need to do is look at these zeros, because these zeros are going to tell us how much we are going to move our number in place value. So if you've got 3 zeros, it's 3 places, 2 zeros, 2 places, 1 0, 1 place, 3 zeros, 3 places. And obviously this only works with 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, so on. Okay, it wouldn't work with 20, 200, those things, only 10, 100, 1,000. So we have 24.16, so we're going to be moving it 3 places in place value. Now because it's multiply, the number's going to get bigger, so we're going to move all the numbers up in place value. Okay, if it was divide, which we have in a couple of seconds, we move all of them down in place value, because divide makes a number smaller. So you've got 24.164. we're going to move it 3 places up in place value. So this is my tens column, so I'm going to move it up 3 places. So I'm going to write my answer underneath here. So my next column would be hundreds, wouldn't it? Okay. My next one would be thousands. I'll put my ones there. And my next one would be 10,000s. Okay. So if I'm moving up 3 places, 1, 2, 3, that 2 tens becomes 2 10,000s. Then my 4 is 4,000s. My tenths becomes hundreds. my hundredths become tenths, and my thousandths become 1. So your answer is 24,164. That is your answer. Okay. Now, once you've moved your first number, it's pretty easy because all you have to do is the numbers always stay the same. 24164, 24164. They have just moved, okay, and they moved them up 3 places. This is the way I said some people say that you're not actually doing, but if you want to, you can think, right, I'm going to move the decimal place. And again, 3 places. 1, 2, 3. And you put it there, take that one out, and look, I've got the same number. Okay? Now, I've got nothing after my decimal, so I don't need my decimal place, so I can then rub it out. But there's my answer, okay? So if you learn it that way, don't worry, okay? Whichever way you understand is best for you. So we've got 2416. So this one, we're going to move everything up 2 places. So this is going to become 4154. Then we would have a space, so we need to put a 0 in there, okay? Because we're moving them up 2 places. Look, if I move this, 1, 2. Oh, sorry, going the other way. If I move that 1, 2, okay, my decimal place will be there. So I'd have a gap and I'd have to put a 0 in there. So it's 4150. With your division, it's the same, but you're going the other way. You're making the number smaller. So this one would be 861.1, okay? And then your last one would be 0.0251, okay? Because we're moving them all down 3 places. Okay, hope that helped with anyone who was struggling a little bit with times in dividing by 10, 100,000. If you are still struggling a little bit, there is a video on my channel called Dividing and Multiplying by 10, 100,000 that will help you with that one. Okay, so go on to that one, and that one's great. I've explained it a little bit better because I've got more time in that video. Okay, so that's our Fluent in 5. Well done. Pop your scores if you want to in the chat. Okay, if you're proud of them. If you want to, what I would prefer in the chat is, did you do better than last week, or did you do better than you expected? That's all I want, okay? If you're doing better than you were last week, or you're doing better than you thought you would, that's good for me, okay? That's what we're doing. So, that's what your brain's up. And now let's move on to the main part of the lesson where we are going to be looking at polygons, okay? So, polygons is another example in maths where we're using, okay, we're using a fancy word, makes it sound complicated, and it's something easy, okay? In your notes, you might want to write this down. So, a polygon is a 2D shape, which means 2 dimensions, so it only has height and width, so it's flat, something you draw on paper. 2D shape with straight sides. So a circle is not a polygon, okay, or a semicircle. And it is always 3 or more sides, okay? The reason it's always 3 or more sides is with 2 sides, if they're only straight, you can never make a full shape, okay? They would not join up. You'd have to have a curve to make a shape. So they'll always have 3 or more sides. So a polygon is basically a 2D shape with straight, helps if I finish my sentence, Mr. B, with straight sides, okay? So 2D shape with straight sides, and there'll always be 3 or more. So that's what we're going to look at today. And you might say, Mr. B, I know about shape and stuff like that, but we're going to look at things that are a little bit more technical, look at some quite challenging questions at the end of the lesson, okay? So we're going to look at the properties of lots of different ones. And properties are basically the rules that make a shape what it is, okay? The things that we know about them. So firstly, what we're going to quickly go over is a quick recap, really quick recap of triangles, okay? We looked at triangles in the last lesson, okay? If you haven't watched it, obviously you can go back and you can watch it. We looked at it at the end of the lesson, and it was quite quickly, so we're going to have a quick recap on it. So, remember, a triangle, okay, is a 3-sided shape. So we have a triangle there. Can you remember, put it in the chat, can you remember what all the angles, okay, on the inside add up to, okay? So if I had 3 angles and I added them together, can you remember from what I said last lesson what they would add up to? Okay, let's have a look, see if anyone can get it. Okay, and it's the same for every triangle. Remember we said that. Doesn't matter what triangle you've got, they will always add up to the same amount. Well done, Christian, Leah. Good to see you, Leah. I haven't seen you in the chat recently. Well done, Ellie. Well done, Lucy. Well done, Izzy. Well done, Millie. Well done, Isabel. Well done, Iris. Loads of really right and good answers there. Well, good answers because the right answer. 180 degrees. Remember, that's our little symbol for degrees. So they add up to 180 degrees. So quickly, can you work this one out then? If I have this triangle here, okay, and I have, let's say, 91 degrees there, and I have, let's say, 49 degrees there. Can anyone tell me what angle A is? So if you had 91 there, you have 49 there, can you in the chat write down what would angle A be? So remember, they need to equal 180, okay? So that plus A would equal 180. So there's two ways you could do it. You could add those together, take them away from 180, okay? Or you could add those together and see how many more would you need to make 180. And let's see if anyone's got the answer. Remember, when you draw, when I'm drawing triangles, and a lot of the times when you see them in test papers, they will say not drawn to scale. So that's so you can't cheat and use a protractor and actually measure it. It's checking your knowledge. Okay. So although it might not look, say, oh, that's too big to be 49 degrees or 91 degrees, and although they look like that, it's just a thingy. Loads of really good answers there. Amelie, Cameron, well done, Kiwi, Billy, Ollie, Milo, brilliant. Yeah, it's 40 because if we add 91 plus 49, we need to get to 180. We need another 40. So A would be 40 degrees. Okay, so great little recap. I'm glad all of you remembered that. So you might put on your note 180 degrees, triangle, whatever you want. What we're going to do now is I'm going to tell you about the different types of triangle. And when I do this, I would make notes, okay, because it will help you with the work, and it'll help you remember if you make notes as you go on. So there's different type of triangles. So this triangle here is called a right angle triangle, okay, and it's basically any triangle that has a, you guessed it, a right angle in it, okay. So remember, on all angles we always show them with our curve. But a right angle you always draw with a square, so sometimes you won't see 90 degrees, which a right angle is. Okay, you won't see 90 degrees there, but because it's a square rather than the curve to display it to show us what the angle is, we know it's 90 degrees, so we know it's a right angle. So this is a right angle triangle. You note I would say triangle with right angle. Pretty self-explanatory, this one. Really easy one to remember because of that. And what you might want to write is 90 degrees in there, okay? And sometimes you can get questions where you'll work out what the other angles are, knowing that that one is 90 degrees. Now, another angle triangle we look at, I'll try and draw this as best I can, okay? That's not working, okay? Guys, just let you know, when you're drawing triangles, when you're drawing polygons, you should always use a ruler. I'm not, okay, because I found when I use my ruler, I end up rubbing up half my work because I'm a numpty, okay. That one's about okay, but this triangle, okay, is what we call, and there's my ruler there, an equilateral triangle. Now this one as well has something, a little clue in the start of it, okay, that helps us remember what type of triangle it is. At the start it's called an equilateral triangle. When we say equal, we always know that equal means the same as. So this is a triangle where the three sides are all the same. Okay. Also, and this is what sometimes people forget, three angles all the same. So if the three angles are all the same and they add up to 180, can someone tell me what the angles in an equilateral triangle always are. Okay, so any angle, this one, this one, this one, any equilateral triangle you would draw will always be the same. What are they? You can pop it in the chat. Okay, 3 angles all the same. And while you're doing that, just to let you know, you can see I've drawn these little lines on there, okay? They are used in maths to show something is the same. So because these all have 2 lines on, it is telling me that all these sides are the same length. So as I'm doing work today, you might see me do sort of 1 line on there or 2 lines, things like that, okay? When I do that, it's just telling you that both sides are the same. And I'll repeat it so you don't forget. But let's see if anyone's worked out how big the angles are. Loads of people. Okay, straight away, picked it up, didn't even have a big look. 60 degrees is right, well done, okay? So you can put that in brackets as well, you note as well, they're always going to be 60. Now what I am going to say about that is, if see this triangle here is an equilateral? See, that's about an equilateral, I know it's a little bit off, okay? The sides on this one would be different, wouldn't they? You can see that these sides are longer. However, your angles would still be 60 degrees, because it doesn't matter how big the triangle is, the angle, where the 2 sides meet, is still the same. It's still 60 degrees, okay? So don't think the sides of the triangle will affect that, okay? Because that's what some people can find hard. Next one, we have, let's have a look. Okay, we have this triangle, okay? And this triangle is what we call a isosceles triangle, okay? And you probably recognize that name, but you forget every now and again when you do it. It's an isosceles triangle. This has got 3 sides the same. This has got 2 sides the same, okay? And because of that, it has 2 angles the same, so easy to remember. Now, as well, these 2 angles that are the same can be different. So like an equilateral triangle, because it depends how the triangle is drawn and how it's made up. So these 2 angles here are the ones that are same. So it will always be where the 2 sides that are the same, those 2 sides that are the same meet there, okay? It will always be at the bottom of those 2 sides. So not where the 2 sides that are the same meet, it will always be at the bottom of them that you have got 2 angles the same, okay? So if you had that triangle and I asked you to find out the other 2 angles, so say it said what is B and what is C, okay, it might say that A was, let's say it was 40 degrees, okay, it's nowhere near that, but it's more than that. That's 40 degrees, and it might just say that, and you might think, I don't know, because I don't know what these 2 angles would be. You know, because you know the properties of an isosceles triangle, that this angle must be the same, because it's not, it's opposite, okay, and it's not where the 2 sides that are the same meet, okay, and then from that you could work out there, okay. So although they seem simple, you need to remember them and you need to know them off by heart, because it helps you answer tricky questions, okay. So although a lot of the time the maths and things that you learn, you think, oh no, that's easy, but when you get questions on it, you won't get a question that says what is an isosceles triangle. You will use what you know to answer that. And the last triangle I'm going to draw, okay, is what we call a scalene triangle, okay, and this means all sides different, and also all angles different. So obviously there are lots of different type of scalene triangles. Oh, that's got a curved side, so it's not a polygon. Okay, and it's where every single side is different and every angle is different as well. With that one, we can't really use much, okay, to help us find the other angles, but it is good to know, because a question might tell us a triangle is a scalene triangle, and we need to know that means all the sides are different and all the angles are different. So that's a little recap of the triangles and the different ones, okay. Like I said, you might think, oh, Mr. B, I know an equilateral triangle, I know an isosceles triangle. Remember, they're going to be used in a lot more difficult ways in your question, so you need to get it in your head there. So let's quick recap. Right angle triangle has a right angle in it, it's 90 degrees, always shown with a square. Equilateral triangle has 3 sides the same, 3 angles the same, and so that means they're all 60 degrees. Isosceles triangle, 2 sides the same, and the 2 angles at the bottom of those sides where they don't meet would be the same as well. And a scalene triangle, all the sides would be the same. So that's our little look at triangles. And we're going to move on to our next type of polygon. Okay. Does anyone know what a 4-sided shape is called? Not a specific 4-sided shape, but all 4-sided shapes. So there's a name that we can give to any 4-sided shape. Okay, no matter what shape it is, there's a name that we can call it. Can you pop that in the chat? Here's a clue. Begins with a Q. So I've got you telling me some types of these type of shapes, okay? But I want one word that tells us all 4-sided shapes. Well done, Kate. Well done, Jake. Well done, Amelia. Amelie, Millie, I think the Q helped you there. Well done, Francis. That's loads coming through. Stephen. Okay, loads of right answers in there. So well done for those ones. It is a quad. And I'm just checking, because you know what Mr. Big Spelling's like. There we go. Quadrilaterals. Okay, so a quadrilateral is a name for any shape that has 4 sides. No matter what it looks like, it will be a quadrilateral. Okay, so in the same way, triangle we can use to say any 3-sided shape. Okay, quadrilateral is what we can call any 4-sided shape. So you see an isosceles triangle, you can say that's an isosceles triangle, or you can say it's a triangle. This with 4-sided shapes, you can say that's a quadrilateral, or you can say that's a square. It will be both of them. Okay, so the easiest way to remember is quad. Okay, quad means 4. Here, think about a quad bike. It's called a quad bike because it has 4 wheels. So if you learn that, okay, go back to English, you'll learn the root of that word. That quad means 4. When you hear quadrilateral, it'll be easy to remember. So the ones a few people mentioned, okay, are these shapes here. Okay. Okay, those 2 shapes. Everyone, when they think of quadrilaterals, knows a square and a rectangle. Okay, so squares and rectangles. A square has 4 sides of the same length. But remember this, because everyone says, what's a square? And you'll say, oh, it's where it's 4-sided shape where all the sides are the same length. However, okay, all the angles are 90 degrees as well. You need to remember that one. Same with a rectangle. We have opposite sides. Okay, so that side's opposite of that one, that one's opposite of that one, are the same. So it has 2 sets of opposite sides that are the same. So you can see in this one, I've wrote 2 lines on all of them because they're all the same length. On this one, they have 2 lines because they're the same length. And they have 1 line because they're the same length as well. Okay, so this rectangle here, this square here. We talked about the inside angles, okay, of a triangle. We said it's 180 degrees, okay? I'm going to put that up there. 180 degrees so we don't forget. A square there. So I've got 4 90 degrees angles, haven't I? Tell me in the chat then, in this square, what do all of the angles add up to? Okay, what are all the angles add up to in a square? We have 4 90. You might just know already, but if not, we know how to do 4 and 90. Or you can double 90, then double it again. So let's have a quick look. Brilliant, answer straight in there. Jake again, Cameron, Milo, Lucas, I think it is, Hadassah, Stephen. Somebody getting loads of good answers. Someone mentioned a full turn there as well. Well remembered from the first lesson as well. Freya, Millie, Cameron, Jasmine, Anna, Lucy, Amelia. Too many of you having really good answers there. Brilliant. Sorry if I missed you out. It is 360 degrees. Okay, 4 quarters. Okay, 360 degrees. So on the rectangle, we've got 4 again as well, haven't we? So it's the same. Okay, Now this isn't just for square and rectangles, this is for any four-sided shape. We can see now that I'm just going to write quad there to remember. Any time we add the angles together, they will equal 360 degrees. Now in a rectangle and square, that's fine, that's okay. We don't really look at much more because we know they're all right angles, so we'll always know that each angle is going to be 90 degrees. However, there are four-sided shapes where the angles inside aren't all 90 degrees, and those are the shapes that we are going to look at. Okay, so we know square, we know rectangle. You might want to pop them down in your notes if you want, but I'm sure a lot of you will remember that. These next shapes, again, you might want to pop down in your notes because they will help you. So, next shape, remember all these sides are straight. Okay, so this shape is called a parallelogram. Okay, a parallelogram. Okay, and it has, like a rectangle, two sets of sides that are the same. Okay, two sets of parallel sides, and the diagonal angles are the same. So those two angles are the same, and these two angles are the same. Okay, so these two sides here are what we call parallel. Okay, now I'm going to draw some parallel lines here, and can anyone explain in the chat what parallel? Now mine might be a little bit off, but can you explain what the word parallel means? Because if we know parallel, it'll really help us to remember what a parallelogram is. So those are all sets of parallel lines. Okay, this is called a parallelogram because it has two sets of parallel lines. Okay, so I'm going to write down the properties here while you're popping that in the chat. Okay, so two sets of parallel sides and opposite angles are the same. Okay, so those two angles are opposite, so they're the same. And these two angles here, I've used different colours to make it easier, are the same. I don't know what's happened with that arrow. So let's have a look at the chat. Sorry, I asked you about your parallel lines. Brilliant, well done. I think that's Seb. Okay, with people, these might help you because sometimes it's hard to explain parallel lines. So we've got saying they never touch. Okay, lines that never meet. Same distance apart, really good one. Two lines that never meet, that's brilliant. Okay, so if you want to understand more fully what I'm talking about, is these two lines here, you could say those two lines never meet, okay? But what we're talking about is if we continue the lines on, they would never meet. So if I continued this line on, it would hit that one, wouldn't it? Okay, so that's not the on parallel lines. These, however, have the same distance apart all the way up. So if I kept drawing these lines forever, up and up and up and up, they would never meet, okay? So two lines like that parallel, if it was even just slightly that way, eventually, might be a long time up, but eventually they would meet, wouldn't it? So parallel lines means two lines where they've got the same distance apart all the way along, okay? So well done for that one. That is a parallelogram, okay? The next one we're going to look at is a shape called a trapezium, okay? Just going to rub that off. You've had a little bit of time. Remember, if you miss any of the notes or the properties or anything like that, you can watch the video back so you'll be able to see what it is. So, a trapezium. Okay, so this is a trapezium. I'll spell that word, okay? So we have a trapezium here, and it has one side of parallel side, okay? So this one here and that one there are parallel sides, okay? So those two sides are parallel. They'll never meet if we can't turn them on. So, however, these sides these sides aren't the same length, okay? They aren't the same length because these aren't parallel, which means they wouldn't be able to be the same size, or else it would make it a parallelogram, okay? So one set of parallel sides is a trapezium. So that's a little bit different. I've tried to make that, I'll exaggerate it a little bit more, okay? That could be a trapezium, because these sides are parallel at the same distance apart when they're there, okay? So that's a trapezium. However, the one that you will normally see, which you'll notice and you'll see that's a trapezium, is this shape. Okay, and that's where we have these two sides are the same length. Okay, these two lines are parallel. You might also see these arrows to show parallel lines. I'll put those in. Okay, lots of things to remember today, so if you do want to watch the lesson again, that's fine. So this one, okay, this is a type of trapezium, okay? Now this trapezium is called an isosceles trapezium, okay? So remember, we had the isosceles triangle. This is what we call an isosceles trapezium. Oh, my M's giving up on life. Okay, so it's an isosceles trapezium, and the difference with this one is that these two sides are the same, okay? So, pair of equal sides, then you've still got your pair of parallel sides, or it wouldn't be a trapezium. And because of how it works, okay, these two angles are the same, and these two angles are the same, okay? So, two sets of equal angles. Two sets of equal angles, what I'll put in there is either side. So on each side, you've got two there and your two there, okay? So that's a trapezium and an isosceles trapezium. Now, as we're going now there, I know I'm going through quite a lot and giving you a lot of information, okay? I'm giving you these because these are good to know. Get them down, get the notes down. Don't worry if you don't know them off by heart. That's why I'm saying write notes, and you can have a look back over them when you're looking at your work, okay? And that's the best way to get it in. So because we're doing shape, I am giving you a lot of sort of a knowledge dump, okay? Mathematical garbage just coming out of my mouth into you there, okay? Okay, so just getting a note there from Miss Carthy. Got it. Okay, so the sides we will sort. Sorry about that. So all of these different shapes. Okay, it does sound like we're going through a lot, but that's why we're making notes. Okay, I'm going through a lot now, so you can go back over your notes when you're doing the lesson, when you finish the lesson. Sorry, or you can go back over the video when you're doing different parts. Okay, a little bit different. Obviously, from school we wouldn't go through this much. So our next shape, we'll change pen because that's rolling out a little bit, is a rhombus. Okay, now now without a ruler and doing it roughly, this is turning out terrible. Okay. Okay, I'm going to stick with that as my rhombus. Okay, now with a rhombus, okay, that's how we spell it. It's got an H in there, which some people can forget because it's quite silent. Okay, a rhombus has all the sides the same. So remember when we said a square, we said a square is a four-sided shape with sides all the same. So is a rhombus. However, the difference with a rhombus, okay, is the angles are not 90 degrees, okay? The angles that are opposite are the same. So, four sides the same. I'm going to put equal. Okay, you still use our mathematical language. Four sides are equal. Two sets of equal angles. Okay, 2 sets of equal angles, and I'll put in brackets there, opposite. And that'll help me when I'm looking at my notes there. Okay. When you do your notes as well, I'll probably be just quickly drawn one of these. Okay, yours probably a lot better than mine. Not hard, but I'm sure they're the best way to remember is to be able to see one. And the last quadrilateral that we are going to look at, I'll leave that on for a little bit, is what we call a kite. Okay, and it's called a kite, and kites that we fly in the sky called that because kites that fly in the sky traditionally were the shape. So I'm going to rub out that rhombus. Okay, hope you got those notes. Watching it back again if you haven't. For 4 sides are equal and 2 sets of equal angles and they're opposite. Okay, so a kite, okay, is that sort of shape. These 2 sides are the same and these 2 sides are the same. Okay, and because of that, these angles are the same. Okay, so two pairs of equal sides like a rectangle. So we have 2 sets of equal sides. And you can see as well, if you get your 2 sides, they both touch, okay? So they touch, okay? So each, remember, a rectangle, our opposite sides that are the same don't touch. These 2 sides touch each other, meet here, and these 2 meet here and touch, okay? So they do touch each other. And the horizontal opposite so these 2 angles are the same, the horizontally opposite ones. Now, I wrote horizontal, but it's only if you have your shape this way. Obviously, if I turn my shape, they would be vertically opposite, wouldn't they? So, good tip as well with shapes when you're trying to work out what type of shapes there are, especially quadrilaterals, because there's lots of different ones as we have seen. Okay, turn your page around, turn around whatever shape you're looking at. If it's a kite and it's on the side, I always put it at the bottom, and I know those 2 angles are the same. Okay, so a little tip for you. So, before we move on to the next bit, you've wrote down a lot of information. Let's wake your brain up again. Let's do a little question. So let's say that I have got a quadrilateral. Okay, I'm just going to draw a random one. Okay. Okay, not specifically one that we've looked at, but we have this angle. Now, let's have a look where I'm going to see which ones fit in the best. So I'm going to say that this angle here is A, is 100 degrees. Okay, you're going to have to work out the missing angle, so you can start maybe adding these as you go. I'm going to say that this angle here, B, is 74 degrees. Okay, and I'm going to say that this angle here, C, is, what did I put down, 68 degrees. Okay, okay, so I've got this quadrilateral here. Okay, hint here. I have A is 100 degrees, B is 74 degrees, and C is 68 degrees. Okay, doesn't matter what quadrilateral we've got. If we've got these ones, we can use things we know, but we've just got this random one. Okay, doesn't really fit any of the things that we've looked at, but we've got 4 sides, so it's a quadrilateral. These are the shapes that confuse people because you think, I don't know exactly what that shape is. 4 sides, quadrilateral, simple. Okay, we know what the angles add up to, 360. So what must this missing angle be? Let's see if anyone in the chat has got it. Okay, so we've got all the angles are going to add up to 360. We know that. Okay, we've got 100, we've got 74, and we've got 68. Okay, some hard addition there, but I can see some answers starting to come through. Well done, Jude. Well done, Christian. Okay, Izzy, have a little look back you're on the right tracks. You just think went over a 10 too much or not. You're working out on one of them was just off, okay? You're 10 out. Well done, Lola. Okay. Well done, Cameron. Well done. Simon, just a little bit out there. Have a little look again. I think you might just put your numbers down, okay? Really good answers there, okay? So that is, work it out. If we add all these together, okay, the missing angle would be 108, okay? 108 degrees. Well done for all of you who got that one. Well done, Izzy, correcting your answer there. So, what we're going to look at now, okay, just going to write this on. We are going to stop in a little minute because of something that I will tell you about. So we're going to look at regular and irregular polygons, okay? So regular shapes and irregular shapes. So when we look at polygons, okay, we put them into two categories. You have a regular polygon, regular 2D shape, or you have an irregular 2D shape, okay? So they're either regular or irregular. Now, a regular 2D shape is all the sides and angles are the same. And this one is basically the opposite. So, if you look at a shape, it's a regular shape, okay? It has all the sides and all the angles the same. If it's an irregular shape, not all the sides are the same. So you might have 2 the same or 5 the same if it's a bigger shape, okay? So say you have a 7-sided shape, 5 of them might be the same and 2 of them might not be, okay? But they would have to all be the same to be a regular shape. Okay, so in a square you could have 3 sides the same and one wasn't. It wouldn't work, but you know what I mean, okay? It doesn't mean that they all have to be different. It just means they're not all the same, not every single one. What I am going to do now is I am going to wait. It is 2 minutes to 11 o'clock. Now I know there's a little bit of a delay on my feed, so I am going to do this a little bit earlier, and I'll probably do it a little bit longer as well, just to make sure it's 1 minute to now. Now everyone in the country at 11 o'clock, which is 1 minute away, is going to have a 1 minute silence, okay? And that's for all the brilliant NHS workers that we have that have been that sadly have lost their lives when they're trying to help every single person in this country. So what we're going to do is we're going to see that 1 minute silence as well. So as well in the chat, if you can just leave the chat for 1 minute, and it's to be respectful and to say thank you to all those people for every single thing that they're doing. Okay, so I'm on a little bit of a delay, so I might be sounding a little bit early or a little bit late, but as long as we're all together, okay, and we're all being silent, it will be okay. Cool. So that's 11:01 there now. Thank you. I could see the chat. Okay. there wasn't anyone talking in there, so I really, really appreciate that. Thank you to all the workers out there. Any children of workers or anything like that, say thank you to your parents, keeping us safe. Okay, so let's get back to the lesson. Let's go through quickly because we've overran a little bit. So I've said that a regular shape is a shape that has all the angles the same, all the sides the same length. And irregular shape is where they're not all the same length. So you might have a couple the same, but not them all. So can you in the chat now put for me, what do we call them? A regular triangle. And what do we call a regular quadrilateral? What are those two shape names? Okay, we've looked at them. We've looked at two shapes where all the sides and the angles are the same. One for triangle, one for quadrilateral. Can you put in the chat, what is a regular quadrilateral? What is a regular triangle? Okay. Some lovely messages in the chat there as well for all the NHS staff. So thank you very much for that. Okay, and obviously thank you very much to the all the NHS workers. Okay, we will be forever in your debt. Brilliant. Got there. Billy straight in there. Ruby with the triangle. Billy's got both. Leah, you got the triangle. Okay. So the triangle is an equilateral. All the sides the same. Okay. So a lot of people, when they think of an irregular shape, they think of a triangle, and they might think, oh well, that's a sort of irregular. Well, it looks more like a right angle triangle. Okay. And they might see strange shaped ones and think those are irregular. Okay. But actually, an isosceles triangle, which looks quite regular, is irregular as well because not all the sides are the same. And your quadrilateral is a square. Obviously, all the sides are the same, all the angles the same. So that's good to remember. Now, what we're going to do now is a quick fire. I'm going to write down, okay, see if you can keep up with me, the sides of shapes. Okay, so we did 3, we did 4. I'm going to write down the sides there. And before I start putting them in, can you write what the names of the shapes are? See how many you can get right. So what do we call a 5-sided shape? What do we call a 6-sided shape? Okay, think and see where this is going. See how many you can get right. I'm going to start at the top, so these are the ones that you want to be doing first. Okay, 11 sides and 12 sides. Okay, so let's work our way through them. So, got all of them there. So, 5-sided shape. Write this down if you didn't get it. You can give yourself a tick if you did. Is a pentagon. Okay, Pentagon, easiest way to remember it is it's that building in America. If you have a look at a picture of it, it's got 5 sides. Okay, hexagon is a 6-sided shape. Heptagon, 7-sided shape. 8-sided shape, everyone tends to get this one because we all know an octopus has 8 legs. So this is an octagon, not an octagon, octagon. Okay, 9-sided shape is a nonagon. Okay, 10-sided is a decagon. 11-sided is a hendecagon. And I'm going to go up to 12, which is a dodecagon. Okay, so that's the different names that we give to shapes. Now, remember we mentioned regular and irregular shapes. So, when you see this shape, okay, it's got 5 sides. You will recognize that as a pentagon. Okay, you'll say that's a pentagon. Look, it's got 5 sides because this is supposed to be, if Mr. B can write properly, regular pentagon. Okay, all the sides are the same, all the angles are the same. So this is what we normally see on shape charts and stuff like that. However, if you saw a shape like that, okay, you would go, and I said, what shape's that? You'd go, oh, I don't know. Count the sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5-sided shape, it's a pentagon. It's just an irregular pentagon, okay? So that's why it's important to know about regular and irregular shapes, because a lot of the time people think only that is a pentagon when it is not, okay? This is an irregular pentagon, okay? It has 6 sides. So that is something that is really important to remember, okay? Now, this is the last thing that we're going to do. Sorry, lessons went on a little bit longer. I know you'll be bored of me, but the last thing that we're going to do is something that's really important and something that's a little bit challenging, okay? So it'll be great to see who can get this, okay? So, let's have a look. We are going to now, rather than me just tell you what the angles add up to in all these sided shapes, okay? What I'm going to do is show you a quick way, a formula that we can use in order to find out what the angles on the inside, so remember to the interior angles, the inside angles, the interior ones, what they add up to on all these sided shapes, up to whatever sided shape that you want to. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to use the formula on a square first, so we know that the answer is right. We're going to test it on one that we know, and then we're going to use it on another shape that we don't know yet to work it out. So let's make sure it is worked. So let's work with the square. So what you do is you take 2 away from the number of sides, Scott. So a square has 4 sides, okay? So I'm going to take away 2 from that. So if I had a 5-sided shape, I'd take away 2, 5 take away 2. If I had a 100-sided shape, 100 take away 2, and so on. So my answer's 2. Now I get my answer, and what I do is I times that by 180. Okay? And if you want to know why, if I have a square, if I call that line across, look, what is it? It's 2 triangles, isn't it? So I know the angles in a triangle add up to 180 degrees. Okay? So 180 times 2 will tell me how much the angles are. 180 times 2 is 360. So we know it's right. So you take away 2 from the sides, then you multiply that from 100 by 180, and it will tell you what all the angles on the inside add up to. Okay? Which is really, really useful, because you don't have to learn every single one. All you need to do is learn one formula. And if you want to look really smart, I will show you what the formula actually looks like, what you're doing, because maths like to make things look complicated. You're actually doing n take away 2. Look how impressive that looks. N take away 2 times 180. There's your algebra up there. Okay, let's break it down. Why do you need to know that? We're taking away 2 from the amount of sides, and then you times by 180. So your n on this one, that will be how many sides you've got, okay? So let's try with the 5-sided shape, okay? So can you in the chat tell me, a 5-sided shape, what the angles on the inside would add up to, okay? Can you tell me in the chat what they would add up to? And you can see why these are important, because obviously, if you had a shape on a test or a question or something like that, and you had some of the angles and you need to work out missing ones, if you know how much all of the angles together add up to, you can work out the answers. But you can check your answers to see if they're right. So that's why this is really hard. It's used with some really harder questions. Okay, we're going to look at, after we've done this, we're going to look at a couple of questions. Okay, so let's have a look at the chat. Remember, what's the first thing we need to do? Put the framework of our working out there. Well done, Jasmine, Ellie, William, Fears, Amelia, Vinny. Oh, Vinny, I haven't got the answer in there. Isabel, Francis. Really good ones there. Yeah, it is 540. So let's do 5 take away 2. That would get us 3. So we need to do 3 times 180, and if we did that, it would be 540. So we now know all the angles inside a pentagon add up to 540 degrees. Okay, so we have learned everything that we need to do. What we're going to do now is we are going to do a couple of questions, 2 questions or so, in order. I'll leave that up there to help us, in order to see if we can use what we have learned, okay, in order to work out some hard questions. Okay, So let's see, which one should we do, because we're going a little bit. I'm going to miss out some of the easy questions. I'm going to do some of the harder ones. So if you're struggling with them, don't worry, okay? I'm going to go over how to find the answer, okay? Let's take a hexagon, and I'll put a little note up here just to help you. Hexagon equals 6 sides, doesn't it? Okay, so on the quick thing here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we can see it's not a regular hexagon, okay? So not all the sides are the same. Now I've got these angles. Let's have a look. 100 degrees, okay? 120 degrees, 110 degrees, 130 degrees, and 125 degrees. So I'm going to leave this one on for a little bit. So it's a hexagon, it's a 6-sided shape. I'm going to write our formula on there. Oh, don't see the end of that. Take it on the sides. So we have a hexagon here, okay? It's not a regular hexagon, so all the angles, we can see that, so all the angles are the same, we can see the sides are different shapes. So we have different angles there. You need to tell me what angle Z is, okay? So what angle is angle Z? So we have these angles, so have a think what you need to do first. Firstly, you need to work out what all of the angles together will add up to, okay? So we've got our formula, take 2 away, times it by 180, okay? Then we need to add these together and see how many we are missing, okay? So I'll leave that on for a little bit because that will take you a little bit to get. I'll just check on the chat while we are going. Well done, lots of people putting some help in there. They've worked out how much that the angles are going to work come up to, okay? So you've put in, let's have a look, Seb, Amelia, William, Leah, Milo, well done. So we know that all the angles together are going to equal 720 degrees, okay? Because 6 take away 2 is 4, okay? 6 take away 2 is 4, and then we times that by 180, and it would equal 720. So all the angles added together equal 720, but that's not our last part, is it? Okay? We have one more step. Okay? We have one more step. We need to find this one. So we need to add these together and work out what the missing angle is. So either we add them together, take it away from 720, or we could add them together and see how many more we need if it's an obvious number. Okay, so let's have a look. Anyone worked out? Well done, Leah. Well done, Amelia, Millie, another Amelia, William, okay, Jude, Ellie, William, Amelia, Melissa, Shikari, Vinny, just off there, Vinny, have a look. So now that equals, okay, we've got 720, we add all those together, okay, 100, add 110, add 120, add 130, add 125. Let's add all those angles together. Okay, so I've got 5 there. 1, 3, 6, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 585, so I need to do 720. Take away that number. 10 take away 5 is 5. Can't do that, so we're going to lend 1 from there. 11 take away 8 is 3. 6 take away 5, 1. So missing angle is 135 degrees. If you didn't know how we got that, okay, have a look again at that. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to end the video, but I'm also going to do a little challenge as well. Okay, so the end lesson there are worksheets on our Padlet as always. Okay, there are worksheets on Padlet and they go along with this lesson. They will help you out with this lesson. Well, sorry, they will see what you've learned from this lesson. There's actually work for the full week on this topic. That's why I've crammed a lot in the lesson, overran a little bit, because it's work for a full week. So if you go down the link, there's a year 5 link and a year 6 link to the Padlet. Okay, and Padlet's just a page where you can download your work, so you can get it from there. Remember, if you need help, put it in the comments, okay, not in the chat, okay. Or you can send it on my socials, Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, Mr. Biggins123. You'll find me there. Or you put comments on the Padlet, or there's an email address on the Padlet. So loads of ways, whatever's easiest for you to get into contact with us. You can watch the video again as well. As soon as it finishes, it will be up on YouTube, and you can watch it again. Watch the parts that you need for each part of the work. Okay, I'll watch them again in future if you're going over on your skills again. After you've done that, after you've had a go at work, there is a Kahoot. Again, the Kahoot link is down in the description, so you can go there and you can have a look at the have a go at the quiz. And obviously, next lesson at the start, we'll give shout outs to the people who came first, second, and third. So have a really good go at that. I would do all the work first. Make sure you are ready. Make sure you understand everything before you do that. If you have liked the video, please like it and share it so we can help as many people as we can. What I'm going to do is a little bit different today. Okay, I'm going to stay around if you need a little bit of help for 5-10 minutes or so. But what I'm also going to do is I'm going to put up a challenging question up on the board. Okay, now you don't have to do this. You can go and get on with the work if you want. But if you want to have a go at this question, it is going to be quite challenging, and I want you to see whether you can work it out. Okay, and I'm not going to until the end of the lesson tell you how to work it out. I'm not going to give you any help with it. Okay, it is quite challenging, so if you're not sure, that's fine, just leave it. You can come back at the end of the video later, or you can stay around while you're doing your work and I'll show you how to do it. But this is going to be a challenging question for anyone who wants to have a go at it. Just have a go, and I'll still stick around, so if you want any help with anything else, I'll be in the chat and everything. So colour. Okay, that looks really complicated because it is a hard one. That is just a challenge for anyone who thinks they want to really test themselves. I'm going to help anyone that wants in the comments. Okay, like I said, if you're leaving, you get on with your work, thanks for coming along. Science tomorrow morning, hopefully catch you there. Thank you everyone for your brilliant sort of messages and love in the chat when we were doing the minute silence for NHS. Really appreciate that. It's great to see you being so respectful. Have a go at that challenge if you can. In about 5-10 minutes or so, I will go over how to do it. But that's a challenge for you. So you've got a timer as well, about 5-10 minutes. I'm going to go over. If you think you know and you want to pop it in the chat as well, obviously you can. Okay. So any help, comments on the source, anything like that, I'm sticking around for 5-10 minutes or so. Okay. Sorry, I just realised I haven't put B on there. That wanted to be. So I've got a few people in the chat there, so a few people watching, 54. I've had no answers for the really difficult question for answer angle A and B. So I want to stay on a little bit longer because I can see there's people in there having a go. And if you do think of an answer, obviously pop it in the chat there, and we will see whether you get it right. Couple of answers we've got in the chat there. Some of them are right. I'm just saying with angle B, be careful with angle B. Yeah, a lot of people get an angle A, okay, in the chat. Well done. I'm not going to say what it is yet if you're still trying to work it out. Angle B, be careful. It is not just that bit at the top. It is the angle all the way around, okay? That is the tricky part, okay? So I can see some people have told me what that one is. So they're on the right lines, but it's the whole amount. So can you find that out? So well done, Joseph and Iris. On the right track there. Right, okay, the video's been going quite a while there now, so my phone's probably going to conk out, so let's go through these, okay? A couple of people got this one, so really well done to you guys, okay? If not, you can watch and you can see how you got it, okay? Well done, Joseph, good work, mate, really good work, okay? So angle A here, okay? See how it's right to double check your answers though, Joseph? Okay, angle A is an easy one, 79 degrees, okay? Now it looks complicated, but when we look at it, okay, we can see that this is a quadrilateral, but it's also got a triangle in it. Now, this triangle has two sides that are the same. So that makes it an isosceles triangle, okay? Now at the base of that triangle, we know from what we learned at the very start of the lesson, and if you've got your notes, okay, that those two angles are therefore the same because it's an isosceles triangle. So we don't have to do any working out to find that one. It's 79 degrees. So well done if you've got that one. Okay, wind your neck, Mrs. Carpy. Now, the next one's a little bit trickier. Okay, so some people said 22. Okay, when they first had a look at it, and see why you did that, because what you said is, I know all the angles in a triangle are 180. So if this one's 79, this one's 79, if I add them together, I've got 22 left until I get 180. So this angle must be 22. But look, it's not just this part of the angle, it goes all the way around. So it's the angle on the quadrilateral. So what we had to do was say we know that all the angles in a quadrilateral equal to 360. So if I add my two 90s together, I've got 180. Then add my 79 on, okay, we will have 159, okay, and then how many more to 360? So 259, we have 101 degrees left. Now, if you didn't understand that question, that is absolutely fine. That is a really, really hard, challenging question, and why I said to most of you to get on with your work if you wanted to, and this was a real challenge. If you started to understand that and you got some of those right, give yourself a pat on the back. Brilliant, brilliant work, okay? Brilliant work. That's the stuff you'll be doing when you get into secondary school. Maybe not even year 7, maybe in year 8. So really, really impressed if you got those things, okay? And can you see how simple facts like knowing what an isosceles triangle is, knowing what the angles in a square quadrilateral add up to, seem like simple things, but they can be put to use in really hard or really difficult looking questions once you know it's simple, okay? Thanks everyone for coming to the stream and the live lesson. Again, contact me on my socials if you need any help with anything or you've got any queries. A couple of people have been in the lesson, and I saw there was a lot of new people coming down to the lesson and watching as well. So thank you for watching. Really well done. Work down in the description in the Padlet for year 5 and year 6, and also in the description is the link for the Kahoot. Okay, the Kahoot was the quiz which we will announce next week who won those. Also say is bye and stay safe, okay? See you tomorrow morning. Now, tomorrow morning, this schedule is a little bit different this week, okay? Tomorrow, I will be doing 2 lessons, okay? I normally do 2 lessons on a Thursday, but on Thursday, I will be in school looking after key workers' children, okay? So I won't be doing a live lesson on Thursday. So instead of that, I've moved my art lesson to tomorrow afternoon, okay? So if tomorrow there'll be science in the morning and then there'll be art in the afternoon. It's quite a fun day, quite a good day to come along, okay? If you check in the description, you'll need pencil, paper, and felted pens, okay? Bright felted pens if you can. Pencils if you can't get them for the art lesson tomorrow, so you can get those ready, okay? So, once again, brilliant. Thank you for coming along. Share these posts if you know anyone that it'll help. And please give the video a like and subscribe so you keep up to date. That'll really help out. See you later and stay safe once again.